Yo, what's up, everyone? Time for another episode of Barely Living the Dream. This week, I have joining me Dave Maldonado, um, local actor that I've actually known of for a while. Saw him in a few things, like way back in the day, like back when I was doing like Closet Space and stuff. Hadn't met him yet, but then met him at some subsequent local film things. Hung out a little bit here and there. You guys might recognize him from Sinners, probably most notably. He's Hogwood in that. Um, but he's been in a ton of stuff: Deepwater Horizon, True Detective, His and Hers, which is on Netflix currently. Um, there's a bunch that I'm forgot. Prison Break. There's a bunch that I'm forgetting, but he is a, you know, working actor that I've been kind of paying attention to the stuff he's been doing, and like I said, he's been showing up in a lot of stuff. So yeah, join us for a pretty fun talk about what he's got going on, some cool stories from set, and how he kind of makes it work. All right, here we are with Dave Maldonado, actor extraordinaire.
Yeah, I haven't got that one before.
Yo, you've been a busy guy, man. And I wanted to, what we normally do is we start with like the origin story, but I wanted to bring up that I was thinking about when I first encountered you, like knew of you, it was and I don't know if we met during the shoot, but I saw so much of you because I was spending so much time in the editing room when this was being put together was Necrophobia,
Oh, okay.
Domain of the Damned, when you were the DJ in that, right?
Was I a DJ? I was like a radio personality.
Radio, yeah, radio guy, yeah. Because I that was when I was working a lot with Stacy, and he was doing a lot of posts for us. So, but he would be working on it became Domain of the Damned, and constantly showing me scenes or whatever. So I'm like, I don't really know Dave, but I feel like I know Dave because I've seen so much of Dave in this movie.
A different side of me for sure.
Yeah. So what? I guess, yeah. What was your path in getting into all of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was always kind of performer, I think, growing up, but it was never for anyone. It was just kind of goofing off here and there. And I was an artist growing up. I was always drawing. That was like a hobby of mine. I was never good in school. So took acting classes every summer, throughout high school. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be an art major. So, that's what I did. I went to college but I said, I need to make money while I'm doing it. So I'm going to be a commercial artist. So that's what I majored in. I majored in commercial art for about a year. And then I was like, ooh, you got to be really good at the computer to be successful at this. And I was not. I was like, I just want to draw, you know? So I ended up changing my major to general studies so I could just get out. But during that time, I was taking acting classes. I did the high school musical, which was really just like a goof off class. I mean, we had to work really hard. We had to learn all the songs and all this stuff. And my wife was in the production with me.
Okay.
So the bar, as far as talent or skill level, was not that high. You know, so my wife is an engineer, so that's, theater is not really her forte.
Gotcha.
But it was a lot of fun, and I kind of felt like I had a knack for it. Like, oh, I'm kind of good at this, But being in South Louisiana, having a career in film and television was not on anybody's radar. The Louisiana film industry didn't kind of start to come about until we left, really. That's when it started to grow. But at that time, I was like, well, I'm going to take some acting classes, and I really enjoyed it and really started having a passion for it. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to audition for every play I can possibly audition for. I was always in rehearsal, always in acting classes. That's kind of how it started. I was doing community theater. I was doing theaters at the university. Much to my wife's chagrin at the time, I was always, hey, are you home tonight? I'm like, no, I got rehearsal. I always got rehearsal. So that's kind of how it started. But in the back of my mind, I was always like gravitated toward film, just because of the performance style is it's a lot more subtle. The camera's like right there. you can really kind of convey real emotions
Mm.
and what a person or character is going through. So love theater. I haven't done it in forever. But yeah, and then I started doing student films,
Okay.
auditioning for independent films in Louisiana, and then we moved here, and I got an agent, and things started rolling from there.
What predicated your move here? Was it a work related thing, or were you moving here to get into sort of a larger theater world?
My wife's job.
Okay.
I was on my way to an industrial in Louisiana
Okay.
to go shoot this corporate video, and I was just kind of down on myself about like, oh, what am I doing? Where should I be for this career choice? And I talked to my agent at the time, and she was like, you should try going to the Houston area because there's a lot of commercials and corporate stuff.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to tell my wife we're going to move to Houston. And like the same day, my wife texted me and said, how would you feel about Houston? So that was pretty eerie.
Yeah.
Eerie timing. And so she got a job 20 plus years ago in the Woodlands. And that's what took us here. So I was like, all right, great. I'll start auditioning because I wanted to be a stage actor at the time. I was like, and Houston has a pretty good theater industry with the Alley and these smaller equity theaters. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a theater actor. So I started auditioning for all the theaters, and at the same time, kind of doing community theater. Still doing that. Still doing indie films. I think Necrophobia or Dawn of the Damned was like one of the first films that I did when I moved here. So yeah, and then I got an agent, and then kind of started auditioning for stuff in Austin and Dallas, and then Louisiana started kind of really taking off.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where it happened.
Gotcha. So what was your first larger film experience like? Like, how did you get cast in the role, and what was it like sort of stepping onto that set, having worked on a bunch of let's call them scrappy indies. I know, cause I do them,
So Prison Break was my first time working on a big network show. And I played a bailiff in that, and I was just kind of escorting a prisoner in for an interview or an interrogation. And so yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm really doing it. It wasn't a great experience. One of the actors was kind of a jerk. And what kind of language can we use?
Whatever you want.
He was an asshole.
Yeah.
He was a dick, and I was because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
So I escort this prisoner into this room, and it's just supposed to be him and the guy who's interrogating him. And I turn around and leave, and the camera is like sitting in the doorway. Mm-hmm. And so there's nowhere I could go. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, wait, cool. Well, I'll just watch this scene. It would be cool. And so after they rehearsed, or they maybe shot a couple of times, the actor walked up to me and he was like, you either need to get behind that wall or leave the room because you're not supposed to be in here. I was like, okay. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I got behind the wall. And then later on, we had this kind of elevator sequence where I have the prisoner and he's trying to get away from the guy. Mm-hmm. And the guy kind of stops the elevator and comes in. But I had to hold the button. It was up to me to make sure that happened. Yeah. So the AD was like, yeah, so yeah, when he's trying to get in, make sure you hit the button and this happens. And the guy just leaned over and was like, yeah, don't fuck up. And I was like, okay. And I laughed, and the AD laughed. And so yeah, I figured that's how all sets were going to be. Like, right. Okay, this is how it is. People are assholes. So yeah. Thankfully that wasn't the case. I've encountered lots more assholes and a lot more, incredible people. So just kind of got to roll with it.
Yeah, totally. So at what point in doing that, did it become, because acting is kind of your full-time thing, right? So at what point did it shift to become that?
Yeah, I was I got a job since I was at an art background.
Mhm.
I got a job at a frame shop at a Michael's Arts and Crafts. So I
Okay.
was like, all right, well, I'll get this, kind of, I guess, day job to kind of, I can frame all my own stuff. It's like, I'll get a discount, all that stuff. So I did that for several years. And they were very flexible with my schedule. So I could, if I said, I got to go to Austin tomorrow, I need somebody to pick up my shift or something like that.
Right.
They were very accommodating with that. And it came a time when they weren't going to do that anymore. The manager was like, look, it's like, if you're on the schedule, you got to come in.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't really do that anymore. And I'm like, all right, then I guess I'm done here, But thankfully, I did marry someone with a real job,
Mm-hmm.
which I always encourage, struggling artists and actors, try not to find a future mate in your own discipline. Try to, I was hanging around the engineering building in college.
Yeah.
So
Solid advice. Solid advice.
we were in college and my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, is, we're sitting there, we're talking to some friends and it's like, what is your girlfriend, what's her major? It's like chemical engineering. They're like, oh man, that's smart. Good job. It's like, what about you? I'm like, general studies. I'm like, that's okay. That's all right. I'm like, yeah, thanks. Thanks for the vote of confidence there. But yeah, I mean, she's been super supportive this whole time. And we had a couple of kids along the way. So it was kind of a role reversal for us. She would be working during the day. I'd be at home with the kids, and I'd go to work at night to my framing job. And, so that worked for a while. And then thankfully things started kind of picking up for me. It's still not, I don't know how people perceive,
Right.
this career. It's like, there's some envy and like, oh man, he's got it made. Or it's like, I'm still kind of paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
It's like,
Buddy, you are on the right show right now. Let me tell you.
it's like, I'm not, making $1 million a picture. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm working my way up. I get
Right.
paid more than I did when I started out, but
Yeah.
it's still a grind. And I mean, my kids are always like, so when you get that big role or when you get this, and I'm like, it's like, that's not even what I would love for that to happen. I would love to get to a point where those paychecks are just, enormous. But it's like, for me, it's just, what's the next thing? What's the next? How can I get better and just work consistently?
Right.
That's my whole goal. It's like if you take care of the small things,
Mm-hmm.
and trust the process. If you do all these things right, all the little things right, then good things will happen. And it's kind of how I approach everything.
Yeah. It's a good way to look at it. Really good way to look at it. And I can relate to everything you just said, like big time. So after Prison Break, I guess, take us through a few of the other things that you did, sort of like, and your journey to get like a little bit more featured roles and kind of thing, like Right.
just
to working a little more.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it's been a marathon. It's been a very, very slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, they do a couple things and boom, they land, 30, 40 episodes on a show.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't been my experience. And I don't know, what to point to that. Like, is it my character? Is it my skill level? Is it the fact that I'm kind of a character actor who plays lots of different things? I can play the creepy guy at the club or the, your neighbor next door or the cop. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But, at that time I was reading for, I read Friday Night Lights,
Mm-hmm.
more times than I can count. Breaking Bad, more times than I can count.
Mm-hmm.
But, and never quite cracked the code for Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I booked. I went to New Orleans to read for a movie called Trespass. And I was reading for Joel Schumacher, and it's a Nicolas Cage movie, not the Ice Cube Trespass, the other Trespass that not very many people have seen. Nicole Kidman and Ben Mendelsohn is also in that, who I did most of my scenes with. But yeah, that was like, and I was reading with casting director Ryan Glorioso, and I go in and I go to the callback, and I mean I'm so nervous I can't see straight. You know, it's like in Joel Schumacher, and you know, and that was a common theme in the beginning of my career. Like it was nerves, anxiety, and thankfully I've kind of overcome some of that. It's always back there, but I mean I went in and I read for him and I did the scene. It's a it's one of those scenes where it's like, yeah, you're just doing your job.
Yeah.
And I've had acting coaches and teachers kind of like, everybody has a different philosophy, and a lot of them are like, doesn't matter how small the role is, you have to study your character, and you have to all this backstory, and what did he have for breakfast? Like what was his childhood like? And I have learned that is not my technique. I don't agree with that. Now, if your role is bigger and there are a lot of things going on, but if you're just a guy in the scene that's doing his job, that's all going to get in the way. So I I did the scene, and it's a very kind of spice of life, kind of, you know, slice of life thing, and Schumacher's just sitting in his chair, and he's looking over at me, and he's like, "Good, that's good. You're good." And I was like, okay. And I left, and I think it was the casting assistant was like, "How'd it go?" I'm like, "I have no idea. Like, I don't." Obviously, he thought it was good. He would have been like, "Next." So I ended up booking that, and I did it, and worked with Ben Mendelsohn and Cam Gigande, and but Mendelsohn has gone on to be like, you know, huge and phenomenal actor. So yeah, just doing over time those big roles in really small movies and small roles in bigger movies. You know, it started to kind of shift, and I started getting more and more screen time. So yeah, but it's been, like I said, a really long process, and still at this time, I'm like, am I? You know, I have people message me like, "Hey, do you still do these kind of roles, or when did you change to only do guest star or what?" You know, and I'm like, man, if the casting director wants me to read for something, I trust. I've built a relationships with those casting directors to where if they want me to read for something, I'm going to do it, because sometimes those small roles end up being like, if you're in one episode,
right.
You know, sometimes that's happened to me where it's supposed to be 1 or 2 episodes, and it ends up being 7 or 8 just because they change, because they're writing week to week, you know? So, I just trust that. And that's happened recently. You know, I've read for a couple of movies, really nice, meaty roles, and ended up doing something smaller. And I learned that lesson years ago to, you know, that whole small actors, no small actor, small roles, only small actors kind of thing. I just try to give it the respect that it deserves, because sometimes it's more important than you think, you know? That happened to me on Free State of Jones when I worked on that with McConaughey. Because I had, and I'm rambling now, so just if you need a shift.
No. Go.
I read for Free State of Jones, and I was going back to New Orleans and for like 2 or 3 callbacks. I can't remember how many it was, but you know, it's a Civil War era film, and I wanted so badly to be, you know, one of these bigger roles that I was reading for, and I was like, just give me a name. And I'm in my car, getting ready to go in and audition again. I'm like, just give me somebody with a name, not bartender or soldier number 2. Give me somebody with a name. And I got the text from my agent, I guess a week later, and she was like, "So you booked Free State of Jones. You booked the polling station clerk." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And I was bummed, man.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, well, whatever." And I was kind of bitter. I went into to shoot in New Orleans, and I had the worst attitude.
Yeah.
I was just so bummed. But that all changed when I showed up, and I was kind of treated like, yeah, you're important to us. And it was one scene, but it was a really, really pivotal scene in the movie. And we shot it all day. And it was a very pivotal scene with all my guys on one side, all McConaughey's guys on the other side. Yeah. And it's kind of a standoff, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I got McConaughey leaning in across the table in between takes. He's like, yeah, man. He's whispering. He's like, yeah. He's assuring me that we're doing something good. We're capturing something special, you know, and that he's happy with what's happening. And yeah, I mean, it changed everything for me as far as my attitude goes.
Yeah.
If I read for this or this, I'm like, man, I really want that, but hey, they want you to do this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it the respect it deserves, and I'm gonna play my little piece of this puzzle to the best of my ability for the good of the project. So thankfully I learned that early on.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. You hear it all the time where they're like no small parts. You know what I mean? Because it's true that if one small piece isn't strong or doesn't fit it will make the whole thing fall. And good artists know that. You know what I mean? And also it's what I've found, and I have different versions of this for myself, but that buy-in or that sort of cosign, like where he's like, yeah, man, we're doing good stuff. Yeah. Like that means so much, you know, it can really kind of fill you up when you need it. Cause I've had those same sort of kind of type things in my world, you know. You touched on this a little bit, and I'm just curious, has there been a time, you said it happened a little bit when you're in the room with Schumacher, but has there been a time even now that you're a little more used to it where you've gotten sort of starstruck or just sort of like thrown back, you know, like maybe you're doing a scene with this person, but when you get in the room and actually you're like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah. There's kind of like a brief second of kind of taking it in and like, okay, you know, you're walking onto a battleship with Tom Hanks, or you're, walking in a room with Martin Landau, and you have this scene with him, and, but I kind of allow myself that brief moment of, okay, now let that go. Time to go to work. Because really we're all there. It doesn't serve you at all to be starstruck. You know what I mean? As long as you're treating the other person with respect, and kindness, and not, treating them like a movie star, even though I guess there's a small percentage that want to be treated that way, but most of them just want you to come in and do your job and be respectful. So I just try to prepare my ass off and be ready when that time comes. But yeah, it's gotten to a point where I think the environment is almost more intimidating.
Yeah,
because you show up on set and hundreds of people, all doing a job, all under a lot of pressure to make this all work. And then, it's time for you to kind of step on this mark and say your line, and everybody's depending on you to do it well. So I think that is more intimidating. But when you interact with movie stars or whoever it is, really, really elite actors and directors, and they give that respect back to you and make you feel comfortable, then all that kind of goes away, and you're allowed to kind of play and be at ease. And I think that's when, real, true art is made, is when you're just let go and you can be yourself and you can really play. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that said, having, worked with all these people, who would you say, or who have been some of your favorite scene partners, or some of the most fulfilling people to kind of work with or up against?
Well, I mean, it's easy to say like the last one. But Sinners was pretty surreal, incredible experience, and kind of life-changing for me. Not only because of how the movie turned out and what we put into it and were able to accomplish, but Also, just Ryan and Michael, just as men, I can't speak enough about what kind of men those guys are. I mean, they're just very humble, brilliant, and really kind the entire time. You know, when I showed up, Ryan Coogler has a very kind of he's a very chill guy. Um, you know, he's under a tremendous amount of pressure. He's making a movie that nobody's ever made before. I mean, it's nobody. That's when I saw the premiere. That was my first reaction when it was done. I was like, nobody's ever done this.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever combined this many elements and genres and music and all this stuff. Nobody has ever combined it the way he did. But he was so chill and made me feel comfortable. And I wasn't talking. We kind of shot the last scene first.
Okay.
So at that time, you know, Michael is very much in his head in the character, and he's not looking at me. He's not talking to me. A lot has happened up to that point in the movie. So I'm just giving him his space, and he took it upon himself to kind of approach me in between takes and just like, I'm gonna do a bad Michael B. Jordan impression. He just kind of, you know, walked over and he was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, we're not interacting, we're not talking, because, you know, we're in the character, but I just want to let you know, glad you're here, I respect you, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, that means everything.
Yeah.
And he's been around enough to know you want everything to work.
Yeah.
You want everything to be the best that it can be. Make everybody feel comfortable. You know, you got a day player or somebody who's on, maybe looks a little bit nervous, who's like feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Go give them some encouragement. Let them know, hey man, we're making a movie, man. This is fun. Relax. We trust you. Yeah. And I mean, after seeing the movie, I went to New York for the premiere, and I was blown away along with everybody else in the theater. Chris Rock sat on my row. I was like, I got to get up and let Chris Rock pass. I'm like, shit, it's Chris Rock. But yeah, I went to the after party and kind of just after it took me probably an hour to get past all the security and all the people surrounding Ryan and Michael.
Yeah.
Ryan, not so much. I talked to Ryan first. Talked to him. I was like, "Hey man, I think we did something really special." He's like, "Yeah, you talked to Michael yet?" And I was like, "Well, I can't really get in there."
Yeah.
You know, they have all these guys around him that look like Navy SEAls, and you know they're watching everybody like a hawk, and I'm like, they're like, "Who's this guy?" You know, I'm like, "Yeah, I just want to tell Michael thank you." You know, it's like, because there were a lot of people there who were like, "Hey, you know, I want to take a picture with you," all this other stuff. Yeah. So they were very careful to kind of keep people away, but got to, you know, talk to both of them and let them know what that experience meant to me, and how proud I was of what we accomplished. And it seems to be, you know, the common consensus among the community. Some people didn't like it, which, you know, whatever. But yeah, record number of nominations, Oscar nominations. So it's, you know, you're not going to please everybody, but
of course. But yeah, it's obviously resonated.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's made a mark for sure. So how did that, since you bring it up, how did that particular role come your way?
It was just another audition.
No, really? Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I assume that I sent a tape first, because that's always what happens. I don't remember taping.
Yeah.
But I do remember going to the callback in New Orleans again, with Megan Lewis, who is a casting director. And I didn't know, all I had was my scene.
Okay.
I didn't know what the movie was about. Mm-hmm. I didn't know who was directing. I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. I just had the scene, so I prepared the scene. And sometimes less information is better. You're just like, yeah, just keep it simple. Yeah. And, you know, I went into the audition, and Megan was there, and Ryan was there, although I didn't know that was Ryan. Okay. I didn't necessarily know. I knew his work. I knew Black Panther, but I guess I hadn't seen him. I'm not one of those people that does all this research on all these different
And you
directors.
immediately just know who they are with it. Yeah.
Because for me, that's, it's like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to think this is just another guy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I approached it. And I went in and read for him, and we read it a couple times. He made me feel at ease, just like he did on set. And I did my thing. He gave me some notes, and it was the scene in the sawmill when I'm selling him the site and everything. And gave him a hug, and I left. I'm like, all right, I think that went well. And I went to my sister's house in Baton Rouge, and I'm like scrolling on my phone, and I see a picture of Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. It says, yeah, Ryan and Michael are set to film in New Orleans area. I was like, hey, that's the guy I met today. I was like, cool, Michael B. Jordan's in this. Didn't know that either. I didn't know who was in the movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. It's like, I think I got a pretty good shot at doing this. And and that's how it happened. And my agent called me, and actually they called me for the table read first. So I was like, hey, they want you to come in for the table read. I'm like, well, that means I got a pretty good shot of being in the movie. Usually they don't ask people just off the street to go and do that. Went in for the table read. Michael's there. Haley Steinfeld's there. And a lot of times when you go in for the table read, if you're playing a smaller role, they'll have you read for a few other parts.
Yeah.
So I go in there and I was like, okay, can you read for these others? I'm like, yeah, I'm thumbing through the script, and they had me singing in the vampires that are singing this kind of, folksy, beautiful folk music. And I was like, oh man, I looked over at Megan. I'm like, you got me singing? You got me singing in this? I was like, come on, man. I was like, all right, I'll just wing it. And I'm sitting there, and I'm Haley Steinfeld sitting across from the table, and I'm singing to her. Yeah. And then I see the movie. I'm like, wow. It's like, yeah, they did. They were a lot more qualified to sing that particular scene than I was. So yeah, man, it's that's how it happened. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and do you find it's funny because I have anecdotal evidence of people doing this, but do you find that people are recognizing you from that role?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I don't look like I looked in the movie.
Right.
Especially if I'm like, I'm always growing this out.
Yeah.
Didn't have any facial hair in the movie. I did just do his and hers, which I had a goatee in that. But a lot of times I'm growing my hair out, so I always have a hat on. Yeah. I always have glasses on, never have glasses on screen. And thankfully I've lost some of that hogwood weight. So I'm a little, so I get kind of stares like,
I know that guy from somewhere.
Yeah. I was like, why is this guy looking at me? I'm like, oh, maybe he's seen me in something. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's seen the Oil Shane commercials or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a lot of kind of weird looks, but going back to the gym, had a lot of those kind of like, hey, I was doing some kind of machine, and this girl that worked at the gym that was kind of standing behind me, and I kind of noticed her, and I finished my set, turned my music off. She's like, hey, were you the guy in that movie? I'm like, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah. So that's, I always welcome that,
of course, yeah.
That always makes you feel good. The guy that was in that thing, is always a good reference.
Oh yeah.
Great documentary. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Yep. Fantastic documentary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad to be mentioned with some of those guys who were in those things.
Right.
It's like, I recognize you, but I don't know where from. And I have no idea who you are, but
Yeah, it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
And some of the best actors I've ever worked with, like Glenn Morshower, is one of those dudes, and he was, he's great. And but yeah, what made me think of that was right when we started talking about you coming on, I don't remember what I was shooting, but off in the back, someone was like talking about Sinners, and they're like, oh, that guy, that Hogwood dude, man, that Peckerwood, and I'm like, that's Dave, So it's like people remember that character too, what I mean? So it's like really stands out. So that's great. That's wild.
It's fun to watch the TikTok videos of me in the movie, and people just Like, oh man, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, when most people have seen it,
Yeah.
seeing what happens to me, and like all the cheers, like yeah,
Right, yes,
yeah, and I'm
totally,
like,
totally.
that you know, that makes me feel good too. That
Yeah.
they hate me enough to like seeing me, you know,
Yeah.
get my comeuppance, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then, yeah, and I thought about this the first time I saw it, that happens. Spoilers, if you guys haven't seen it, go watch the movie first. But that happens, and it's after the catharsis of the big problem that's, you know what I mean? It's like they solved that problem, and then like they have this whole other problem, and it still totally works. Yeah, absolutely works. Takes it up to another level, even, you know? Yeah. And just that just speaks to, like you said, the craft and the artistry involved and everything, and then you being a part of that is pretty awesome. But and I still was like, yeah, fuck that guy. I mean, that guy's cool, but fuck that guy.
Fuck that character Dave's playing.
Yeah. So I'll take it back a little bit, because another thing that always comes up when I search you, or like when I was doing my research to try to like refresh myself of all the things you've been in, Deepwater Horizon comes up all the time. So what was that process like? How did you get into that?
Yeah, that was a big turning point for me, because I was working, I was fairly busy, and you know, I got that audition, and I think I was working on something in New Mexico, and I had to send a tape from New Mexico for a callback. So I like just Googled somewhere to go and tape nearby, and it was within walking distance from my hotel. I was like, oh, awesome. So I sent it in, and I get, and we're trying, and then I did From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, and the casting director calls me and says, all right, so we want you to play this, and it shoots on these dates. And I was like, I'm going to be in Austin shooting on those dates. She was like, okay, we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can. So she called me back, and she was like, all right, so we got this other role. It's a better role. And it shoots on these dates. That doesn't conflict, but we got you committed for that whole time. I'm like, all right, I'm all in. And then ended up having to drive from Austin all the way to New Orleans, directly basically from set to go to a fitting. And I was like, and it's a nice problem to have, you know, when you're kind of, things are conflicting and you're like, yeah. And I'm complaining to my wife. I'm like, oh man, this is stressing me out. And she's just like, let your agents handle that. Let them handle that. Don't worry about it. And I'm talking to the casting director, and I'm like, yeah, this is stressful. She's like, suck it up, boo-boo, you working. You know, it's like, you're a busy actor. Yeah. You know, cry me a river type situation. Right. It's like, okay, yeah. So for that particular movie, I was playing one thing, and they changed the role to something much better. And that was the first time I had gotten a big role in a big movie. Like I said before, it was always small roles, day players, small roles in big movies, big TV shows. That was the first time, big role, big movie. My name was on the chair. First time that's ever happened. And it was actually the character's name, which was kind of cool. Yeah. And that was very overwhelming. Showing up to that set with that cast, you know, a lot of A-listers on that, and Peter Berg as well, who can be kind of intimidating, if you've ever been in a room with him. He's an intense guy. And you know, there's a lot of improv. There's a lot of kind of fly by the seat of your pants kind of shooting. And, you know, he would just say, we didn't know what we were shooting day to day. Oh, wow. Okay. We would go to the PA at base camp, and like, so what's going on tomorrow? Like, it was kind of a common thing. We would just look at each other and be like, yeah, we don't know. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen. And we would start shooting, and Pete would say, hey, so we're going to shoot this scene. It wasn't on the schedule, but we're going to shoot this. And Kurt Russell was like, But that's not the scene I prepared for, Pete. You know, it's like, and I'm like, yeah, man, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I got the whole script memorized. Let's shoot whatever you want to do.
Right.
So, but which was cool, you know, and we even made up a scene on the spot. Like, you know, Pete and me and Kurt were like, so what would happen in this situation, these circumstances? What would the conversation be? And we just kind of wrote it out, and then we shot it. And Pete was like, "Hey man, look, we just made up a scene and shot it." I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool."
Yeah.
So, but the first couple of scenes, you know, I'm trying to get my bearings. I'm trying to, you know, relax myself. You know, I got Kurt Russell coming in. My first scene is with him, and I wasn't really getting there. Pete was trying to get something from me, and he was having trouble, and he just said, "Hey, Dave, can you do Cajun?" I was like, "Yeah, I can do Cajun." And he was like, "Yeah, just do that." I was like, "Okay," because the other character that I was playing was Cajun. This guy was not.
Okay.
So once he said that, and I could, because the Cajun dialect is, you just can't help but relax when you're doing it.
Right.
And I'm from South Louisiana. I know that's the only accent that I do perfectly. Don't need a dialect coach. So once we just started doing that, I kind of relaxed into it, and I was able to kind of, you can throw in some ad libs here and there, you know, and it's a lot more natural. And Pete was like, all right, you're getting off the ship. What are you gonna go do? I was like, well, he's like, come on, man. I'm about to give you a monologue. What are you gonna do? Tell me what you're gonna do. So I just kind of improv'd some stuff, where I'm kind of dancing around, and I'm like, I'm gonna go drink me a beer. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go fishing, and it ended up in the movie, and I was like, shit, man, it's surreal, man. It's crazy. I did have to ask one of the guys that had a smaller role that he was very Cajun and did a lot of fishing. I was like, hey, can you catch sac-a-lait in this body of water? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'm going to use that. And there was a lot of that. There were a lot of consultants on set.
Yeah.
And there was so much improv that, you know, I have to really be familiar with the situation, with the character, with what his job is in order to improv. Otherwise, you know, I can't improv as an attorney. Right. I don't have the you know, the knowledge of that. So I was like, all right. And so I would ask people, I was like, so what would I say in this situation? If I'm doing an emergency call, what would I say? And there were always people that were like, yeah, you're going to say this, you're going to say that. You know, we got a mass casualty explosion. We need help, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it was crazy, surreal experience. And then going to the premiere in New Orleans for that, and having the families of the people that were killed in that disaster, that were there watching the movie, and have them be pleased with what we made. You know, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Talk about being part of True Detective. I mean, since that's something that's really been in the zeitgeist, you know what I mean? Everybody knows that.
Well, I had a funny story about that.
Okay.
So that was the first job that I booked with my new agent in Louisiana, with Landrum in Louisiana, which they've kind of taken me kind of to the next step of my career. And so I actually went in for the callback to read with the director and the writer, and had a really bad cold, which sometimes helps. Like if you feel like shit, you're like, all right, man, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to do my thing. Plus it adds a little gravelly to your voice.
Yeah.
They reached over to shake my hand. I gave them elbows. I'm like, yeah, I got a bad cold, which I'm sure they appreciated me being in person with a cold. I'm like, what's this guy doing? But so I go in, I read for it, and I booked Abbeville Sergeant, I think it was. And so it's raining in New Orleans, and we're getting ready to go shoot. We're in suits. we're detectives, but they give us raincoats to put over our wardrobe so we don't get it all wet. So, all right. So, hey, we want to take you to set for rehearsal. I'm like, okay. Put my raincoat on, and I'm walking, trying to follow the PA to go to set, and I got my hood on, and I come around a corner, and I run right into an air conditioner that's poking out of the honey wagon there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit. So I panic. I'm like, oh man. I was like, I stop her. I'm like, I need to go get this looked at. I think I'm like, she's like, okay. I go to the medic or the makeup artist. I think first was like, okay, we'll touch it up. And this guy on set was like, all right. And the medic, he's like, all right, we got this ointment. I put some of you can't get this in the States. This is like crazy stuff. It'll stop swelling. I was like, all right, cool. And they gave me some ice. And I show up to set for rehearsal, and I got Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey sitting there, and McConaughey is kind of goofing off and making jokes, and he just looks over at me. I got the ice on my head. He's like, "What'd you do?" I was like, "Well, and I told him the story. And I walked around this thing, I hit my head. He's like, "You did that to yourself? I thought you did it in a scene or something." I'm like, no. I just, all right, tell me what happened. It's like, well, I was walking out, it was raining, I hit my head. It's like, no. Tell me what happened. It's like, well, I was coming around the corner, and this guy jumped out with a pipe, and another guy came out, and we started fighting. He's like, all right, yeah, stick with that story. I was like, all right. So, and his demeanor and his attitude changes once you start shooting. He's also super chill, laid back guy, but while you're shooting, super intense. Yeah. You know, he's doing the whole thing that he did in Wolf of Wall Street. You know, so you know we this was right off of Dallas Buyers Club. So he's rail thin. He had gained probably about 20 pounds back. So. And then, got to work with him again on Free State of Jones. Mm-hmm. I don't think he remembered me, but like I said, we connected on that, and he made me feel like I was, I belonged there, and that I was doing a good job. So that was awesome. And it's one of the best seasons in television history, according to a lot of people. So it was cool to just be a small part of that. When I say I did True Detective, like, what season? Like season 1, like, wow.
Yeah. I remember sitting there watching it and going, oh shit, that's Dave. Like I remember it kind of threw me, like I knew you were working, but I just didn't expect to see, someone I, knew, because it had drawn me in, and then I was like, oh, it's Dave. Awesome, but I vividly remember seeing in that episode. What was the experience? Another thing that, very popular. What was experience like on Treme?
Oh, Treme. Yeah. That was cool. I got to throw a little bit of, I was still kind of hesitant to do like a Cajun accent. Yeah. There's hints of it. It's pretty subtle. But yeah, I got to work with Melissa Leo on that, which was really cool. And we're shooting this scene. It's outside a restaurant. We're kind of just shooting the shit, and so they make this announcement like halfway through shooting, and everybody starts, Melissa Leo, and they all start clapping. I'm like, well, what's going on? Mm. And one of the crew leans over. He's like, spoiler alert, you just worked with a Golden Globe winner. I'm like, oh, cool. I think she'd won it for The Fighter, maybe. Okay. So yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool. Yeah, and I always like to throw a little bit of local flavor in there. I like to throw in some of that, and because that's one accent that people put so much importance on authenticity, and let's make sure we get everything right, but nobody ever does Cajun right. It's like Waterboy is not entirely accurate. Yeah. But I like to think it's been done right a few times,
Yeah.
and a couple of those times it was me.
Yeah.
So I like to, do my people at home, do them right, and with pride, and make them proud.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Your thoughts on the Channing Tatum Gambit accent?
That's not bad.
Yeah. I having Cajun friends, I was like, it's pretty good.
That's not bad. And I know he's got some family in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So, I think Taylor Kitsch did it also in an earlier movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was subtler for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, his was, done about as well as anybody I remember doing it.
Yeah.
Malkovich, who's an amazing, phenomenal actor, his accent in Deepwater Horizon was, and I remember speaking to his dialect coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if she was like offering her services or what. I'm like, no, I think I'm good. But yeah, I was like, just come to me next time. I'll coach him. You don't have to charge me. Yeah. I'll just, give him some of that. Because for a long time, I thought it was like, man, this is an easy accent. Why can't people do it?
Yeah.
And then looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's not that easy. It's like,
yeah, there
are a lot of nuances to it. I'm sure people listen to me doing a British accent and they're like, Brits are like, yeah, that's awful. But there's a lot of lilting, and like you'll say, hey, we're gonna go do this, and they'll put yeah or no at the end. So it's like, man, we ain't gonna do that, no. And that's kind of a hard thing to kind of do well, So if anybody needs a Cajun dialect coach,
this is your guy.
This is me.
So, of all these things that you've done, is there a project you worked on? Is there a dream role or project or something you'd love to be a part of?
Well, I mean, when I saw like the beginning of the first Star Wars prequels, mm-hmm. When Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor walk in, they take their hood off, they'll do the lightsaber. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, totally.
I'm getting a little up in age now, so it would definitely be an aging Jedi. And people always ask me, well, what color would your lightsaber be? I'm like, not too concerned with that.
Yeah, whichever one.
Whatever one they give me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that would be. I really want to play a judge.
Okay.
Because I'm getting to the age where I could play a judge.
Yeah. And,
you don't have to move.
Yeah.
You don't really have a whole lot to say.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there. It's like, I'll clear this courtroom. Proceed. That kind of thing. So yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Just to, get paid the same, but not have to move or talk much. That's my dream role. Like, if I don't have to move or talk much and I can just stand there. I do my best acting when I'm not talking and not moving. I'm brilliant when I have to talk or move.
Have you ever given any thought to writing, directing, doing your own stuff?
Definitely not directing. Mm-hmm. That side of the camera I'm still in awe of. All the intricacies and the technical aspects of the lenses and the camera and all that stuff. I'm lucky if I just stand in the right place and say what I'm supposed to say. I could probably direct a scene and the acting aspect of it. But as far as like choosing the shot, if I had a DP that could do all that for me and I could just, focus on the acting itself, I could maybe swing that. And I've written some stuff here and there. I have a lot of ideas as far as concepts, for like a sitcom or something like that, short films. Mm-hmm. As far as the format, I never know what format it's supposed. I know you can just plug that into something and it'll put your format in there. I haven't really grasped the whole ChatGPT thing, but yeah, that's kind of way in the back of my mind. I could probably write some stuff. I have an idea about. It's basically my, it's Dharma and Greg, but swapped. Mm-hmm. So the man is the one who's kind of the free-spirited artist person. And he's probably an actor, and his wife has like a real job, kind of like what I'm in now.
Yeah, yeah.
My wife and I. And yeah, so that's nobody steal that idea. That's mine. That's my idea.
Copyright. But yeah, no, I mean that as a writer, the stuff that I find that I am most successful at pulling off is the stuff that's drawn. Yeah, that's real life, or yeah. Sometimes to a degree where people are like, "Hey, man, you should probably have that to yourself." I'm like, "But it's funny. You can't make it up." Um, but yeah, that's good. That's cool to hear. I just didn't, being immersed in it so much as an actor, seeing it, I didn't know if that would like trigger that in you. Like, oh yeah, I kind of
like I said, I'm in awe of that. Like people that go from acting to directing and then direct stuff that they're in. I'm like,
yeah. I'm always being on the other side of it. I'm like, how do you that? I just, that almost breaks my brain enough just to direct things. And then I'm like, and you're doing this and this. And so, yeah, it's a lot. So, what's next? What's coming up for you that you can talk about?
Well, you can still see His and Hers on Netflix. Worked with John Bernthal and Tessa Thompson on that. Didn't really know when I got the audition, it was His and Hers. I'm like, what is this? A rom-com? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I read, what it was about, and that John Bernthal and Tessa Thompson were in it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. This is going to be, this is going to be good. This is going to be something that's, not this TV fluff. It's going to be something,
Sure.
and it's, it's a great kind of lots of twists and turns, murder mystery kind of thing. I did work on the Mattress Mac movie.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know if you could talk about it or whatever, but yeah.
I don't know if I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey, here I am talking about it. I'm not going to tell you what I am, what I did, but the guy who plays Mac, I'm blanking on his name right now.
I can't remember.
Billy Magnuson.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So when I got the audition for that, I was like, okay, they're doing, and it's kind of an indie, but Beth Sapko was casting it. It's like, okay, well, she's a great casting director.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if this is going to be how good this is going to be.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I got to see who they're going to get to play Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw they got him, I'm like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Like that dude, a stud of an actor, man. Really, really good, really talented. I think he just got done with, it's not The Social Network 2, it's The Social Reckoning.
Right.
I don't know if it has any connection to the original, but yeah, so got to work with him. I did get to work on another movie in Huntsville that I probably can't talk about. But yeah, it was nice to drive to work.
Yeah.
Somewhere nearby and not have to get on a plane.
Yeah, I bet. I always love those gigs.
But yeah, I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for those auditions to come where it's more than I can handle.
Yeah.
Because usually it's been very slow lately. So usually during that I'm like, okay, it's gonna come, and when it comes, you're gonna be like, oh, this is too much. It's like, this is what you asked for.
Yeah.
Where you're just finishing a tape, and you just get it done, and you worked your ass off on it, and then you get an email about another one. It's like, oh, okay, it's time to go to work again.
Yeah.
So when I'm in that kind of space where it's so much that I can hardly keep the balls in the air, then, kind of a numbers game, hopefully one of these hits, So yeah, that's it, man. Just trying to work consistently. It's not like, I want any kind of stardom or, fame and fortune. I'll take the fortune. Fortune's okay. I take the money. The fame, I'm a little leery of that. But yeah, man, just to work consistently. A lot of the actors that I admire are the ones that they probably don't even have social media. They're just brilliant at what they do.
Yeah.
And they're consistently working in all these different, different projects, different types, of film, television, and they're always somebody different. Those are the guys that I admire the most. Bill Camp is one. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's different in everything, but always brilliant. So yeah, man, just grinding, doing fun little shows like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's all I got for you, man. It was great having you here, having you talk about your experiences. Like I said, I've been a fan from afar for a while, so it was nice to sort of hear the stories in person.
Yeah,
and
man.
catch up with you.
And it's always nice to to drive to one of these and not. I'll still do the Zoom, that kind of thing, from people all over the country that I don't necessarily know. But it's nice to come and meet with somebody who I know, whose work I admire, and just kind of chop it up.
Yeah,
It's nice.
for sure, man. I appreciate that. Cool. Well, yeah, thanks again, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks.